Hey, hello everybody, and welcome to Britain's Hidden History. I'm Ross, and I am with researcher Bob Morgan on this fascinating subject of the possibility, well, more than a possibility, we'll have a look now, that there's a Welsh castle. Yes, the Welsh actually in Ireland. So I'm just going to give everyone just a minute or two to log in, because we had loads of people waiting, and the viewers are just catching up. Alright, but anyway, if people have to catch up, that's where it's going to be. I'll say hello to Bob first. So let's hope this works. We're going to try Zoom meeting. Right. I just want to double check everyone can see something on the screen now. Nope. That's a weird picture of me looking asleep. Hope that's not on the screen. Right. Okay. Now it's all looking good. Brilliant. So welcome, Bob. And I think I just pass it over to you, really.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Well, we're going to go through a quick presentation, and basically, I'm calling it the Roman fort that never was.
Ah, right.
And it's an interesting story, and it's a salutary lesson in the fact that politics and professional historians and archaeologists actually twist things.
No.
Sometimes they twist it, and it has unfortunate consequences.
Surely not.
Okay, well, the story for me began, strangely enough, on page 50 of Barham's St. Patrick book.
Ah.
I was reading that, as you're aware, I've been researching St. Patrick because I think he's a bit of that's the very book, turn to page 50,
Oh.
and you will find a reference to a Roman fort.
Okay.
I was researching St. Patrick at the time because I've got a theory that St. Patrick was not a saint, but a bit of a Welsh lad, a bit more of a Welsh del boy than a saint. And,
Yeah, we're going to do a St. Patrick series, aren't we? Yeah, that's another one that's coming up.
Yeah, exactly. It will be a very interesting presentation, that one, because there's a lot of evidence to suggest that he wasn't the saint that everyone thinks he's going to be.
Okay.
Quite controversial it's going to be. But
so I just read that slightly. It's just saying here, obviously, this
I think it's page 50 at the bottom.
At the bottom, at the top as well, it says there's an ancient fort site. Is clearly a relic of the British invasion of Ireland led by Ceredic sometime around AD 290. It forms part of the story of St. Patrick. And as Bob says at the bottom, and so began Patrick, I assume, his task of making the Irish to be Christians. Filming of the Roman-style fort remains near Dublin would assist in telling this story. Oh, good spot, yes.
Okay, well, I read that bit and I thought, oh, a Roman fort in Ireland. And I thought, there goes my grammar school education for Burton again, because everything I was ever taught in history has proved to be wrong.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'll look into this Roman fort bit. A quick session on Google says, there's lots of references to this Roman fort from a full scale. It was the beachhead for a full-scale Roman invasion of Ireland, to lost Roman legions in Ireland. There's all kinds of theories, all attached to this Roman fort in Ireland, and it's an unquestionable fact. There was a Roman fort in Ireland. So I thought, okay, I'll start looking into this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a good lesson for everyone: is don't believe what you read, don't believe what you hear. Go and do the research yourself, because what was been printed on this issue is all based on a foundation of nothing. So I started researching it. And it all started back on Sunday, the 21st of January, 1996. And it was the Sunday Times of all papers. It hit the mats, and the sound of proud Irish patriots choking on their breakfast cornflakes reverberates all across Ireland. And the cause of all the snap, crackle and pop was a large headline boldly proclaiming, Fort Discovery proves Romans invaded Ireland. under the byline Kieran Byrne and John Mace, that the sensational article detailed a claim that the Drummondane Promontory was the site of a Roman fort, but that was used as a beachhead for the Roman invasion of Ireland in 82 AD by Agricola, a Roman governor of Britain. And to add insult to injury, it was claimed that the invasion was aided and abetted by an Irish prince. And I thought, wow, now that is the story they didn't tell me in school.
Yeah. Where was that hidden? Yes.
Yeah. So how I was taught in school quite categorically. The Romans never invaded Ireland. Ireland has always remained, Irish and never let anyone in.
And there's no Roman records of ever going to Ireland, is there?
None at all.
As I know.
There are references which I'll come to later.
Okay.
The first thing I had to do was find out where is Drummondane, and I'm not certain that's how you pronounce it. It's Drumanagh. So Drummondane. And basically, it's located immediately south of the village of Lochshinny, which is shown on the map that's on the screen now. And it's about 20 miles north of Dublin. And if you look at it on a map, right across the sea from it is Anglesey, the last stronghold of the Druids. So
I'm going to just say quickly as well. That is where the ferry goes. Holyhead on the Anglesey to Dunleary.
To Dunleary goes
which
across that ferry.
Another good spelling challenge.
Yeah, it's about 70 miles apparently, door to door.
Okay.
So it's in close proximity to Wales, close proximity to the Druids, but it was being claimed as a Roman fort. The promontory itself, go to the next.
Bob's first ever go with PowerPoint, so come on, Bob, you can do this.
There we are. Now, this is the promontory.
Slight lag on this screen. Oh, there we go. Get fine, yes. Oh, wow, look at that.
Right, that's the Drummondane Promontory. And if you can see my cursor.
Yes, by the little hole on the right, yes.
Yeah, I'm pointing to that. That little hole on the right is a Martello Tower. That's a quite recent origin.
Napoleonic or something, is it?
Yeah, in Napoleonic times like ours, it was built to guard them in the Napoleon Wars. You've got the promontory itself. The promontory itself is surrounded, as you can see, by cliffs. And then at this point here, I've gone back. There's a promontory there, the Martello Tower's there. And then you can see on the western side of the promontory, you've got these embankments and ditches, which is shown in greater scale here. So there's basically three embankments protecting it. And it's got, from the seaward side, it's totally surrounded by cliffs. Right. And then to the north and south of it, there's sandy beaches, which are ideal for beaching small craft. So it's an ideal position for a fort. Yeah, you're protected. You're protected by the embankments on the western side. You're protected by the cliffs on the north, east, and south side. And you've got nice sandy beaches north and south of you where you can land boats, which are overlooked by the cliffs. So if anyone's coming to attack you, you can get them before they can get off the beach. It's a bit like the landings in Normandy.
But you've got a safe landing point for your own people and your own goods, or whatever.
Yeah, you've got a safe landing point for your own people. But if someone's trying to get you from the sea, you're standing on the cliffs and you can throw things at them, and they got a harder job to get you. And even if they get up from the beach onto the mainland, you can then retreat back into your fort, and you've got the the embankments and ditches to protect you. And again, I haven't looked into Ireland, but I'm presuming it's going to be the same as in Wales. These forts, it's an Iron Age fort, for no doubt about it. It stems from.
Hello? What happened? I don't know what just happened then. I'm really sorry.
Hang
on, sorry, Bob. You have to rewind.
To come and help you to get rid of whoever's trying to get you.
Bob, sorry. We just lost connection for about 2 minutes only. If you just go back to the bit you said, I haven't looked into Ireland, but I know that with Wales. So if you just pick up from there. Sorry, the last minute it just dropped for some reason. We're back on now. Everything looks fine.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't hear me again now. Oh, God, why does it mute me? All right, sorry, Bob. Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry about that. We just lost the connection for a minute. I don't know what happened. It's very strange. You had just said that I haven't looked into Ireland. You just said it's definitely Iron Age. You haven't looked into Ireland, but you have looked into Wales, and then if you just go back to there, just a couple of minutes.
Okay. Well, as I said, yeah, I haven't looked into Ireland, but I'm presuming it's the same as in Wales, where all of these Iron Age forts are connected, and we like beacon sites and things like that, like the Fortress Wales scenario that Wilson and Blackett have portrayed in their books. I haven't gone as far as looking into that, but if you look at it on a promontory, if you get caught on there, you've got cliffs. You've got no escape. At the end of the day, if someone's coming to get you, all they got to do is line up along this wall on the western side.
Yeah, and you
line up along here and just sit there until you run out of water and food.
Yes.
And you've got nowhere to go because there are cliffs down to the sea, and you're stuck. So the only way that these forts could operate as a temporary refuge is if you sit there and hold it out, waiting for your fellow compatriots to come and rescue you.
Right.
And that's an important part to bear in mind with regard to these claims it's a Roman fort and a Roman beachhead.
You need to be supplied from somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, so the promontory's long been identified as an Iron Age fort, and since the 1950s with mechanized ploughing, they've been throwing up lots of various artifacts. As they ploughed it's been throwing up, and then of course the metal detectorists got in there. Right. And in the 1970s, around 150 Roman artifacts were illegally dug up by metal detectorists and put up for auction in London. And the Irish government stepped in at that point and confiscated the artifacts. And they started then a legal battle with the metal detectorists and the owners of the promontory, who were trying to sell the artifacts for money because they were quite valuable.
Yes.
And the government threatened to prosecute them if they did so. And they got into a bit of a standoff there. The Sunday Times article is the genesis of all the claims that there was a Roman fort and a Roman invasion of Ireland. It was alleged that the site of its Roman significance was known to a small select group of archaeologists, and the Museum of Ireland for more than a decade has been keeping it secret.
Okay. Right.
So from day one, there's a bit of there's a conspiracy going on here. We know that we've been invaded by Romans, but we're not telling anyone.
Yeah.
Whilst it was being researched.
It is funny when the mainstream has conspiracy theories. I always enjoy that.
Yeah. But for professional verification, the Sunday Times article extensively quoted Richard Warner. He was then the keeper of antiquities at Ulster Museum. And it's important to recognise and note at this point that it was the Ulster Museum, i.e. in Northern Ireland, not in Southern Ireland, where Dublin and this promontory is located.
Yes, so one's British and one's Irish. It's a very different situation, yes.
Yeah, so it was printed in the paper, and everyone's mouths just went, "Oh, what?" And as I said, Irish patriots just went off the wall. So there was an immediate backlash. It appeared in the Sunday Times on the 21st. On the 22nd, there was an article in the Irish Times saying, "This is a load of rubbish. This never happened. There's no basis for this whatsoever." It was a real backlash. The academics jumped in with it. The spring edition in 1996 of Archaeology Ireland, Professor Barry Raftery rebutted the whole article on the basis of three things: the physical and historical documentation regarding the Roman presence in Ireland,
Right, yep.
There wasn't any history or anything which says that they were invaded. There've been no Roman relics, no Roman roads, no Roman anything, structures found. The legend of the Irish prince, who is Tuathal Tecmar, again, I make apologies for pronouncing the name, Tuathal,
Okay.
Tec.
So spell that again. Tua.
Tuathal, Tuathal.
Tuathal.
Yeah.
God, it sounds an awful lot like Typhalt or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, yes, and then you've
anyway,
got Tecmar, Tecmar, Tuathal Tecmar.
Sounds like the Welsh name Typhwell, as in the great-grandfather of Arthur.
Arthur, yes.
Father of Tudric, Typhwell. Yeah. Very similar. Anyway, that's the right sort of period.
And then this professor then also brought up the fact that the Drumney site was nothing more and nothing less than an Iron Age hill fort, and there are a lot, like in Wales, there are a lot of these scattered around. It's nothing more than that.
Okay.
And he concluded, there is nothing here that proves a Roman invasion of Ireland. There is no objective proof to link Tuathal to any invasion, and nothing of the Drumney finds indicate a Roman military presence.
Okay. So
basically, they were throwing it back. Archaeology Ireland, and almost immediately the article came out. They go, no, this is absolute rubbish. In the spring edition of 1996, Archaeology Ireland again, there was an editorial by Gabriel Cooney, and he was coming round to there's something behind this. Why was it announced in the Sunday Times, a great archaeological find or historical find in Ireland? Why are you announcing it in the Sunday Times in England? Hang on a minute, what's going on here? Right. And basically, and I'm quoting here, what he said was, this is a great, and don't forget, we're at the time in 1996, before the Good Friday Agreement. We're in the Trouble period. So North and South are divided. They're still fighting. There's still British soldiers on the ground there. Very sensitive. Mm-hmm. And what he said, and I'm quoting now, this is a time of great sensitivity in the present relationship between the Isles of Ireland and Britain. There's a clear suggestion here that really it is time that the Irish cottoned on to the fact that they really are British. It does not take too much of a leap of the imagination to see how such a formulation can be used in political agendas today. So, the Irish people and the Irish archaeological establishment are quite clearly saying, hang on a minute, there's political motives behind this. It's not simply an announcement of an archaeological find. There's a political motive behind it. And as we go through this, you'll actually see that there's politics all the way through this at different levels. So that was followed up again in the spring edition 1996, Archaeology Ireland, a guy called John Mace, Maas, in an article entitled Et tu, Brute. Incensed by Prof. Rafferty's article, Mass accused him of being patronizing and called his comments unworthy as such a respected academic. He said that prior to the Sunday Times article, he had several meetings with Prof. Rafferty and Richard Warner, who were the basis of the article. The article was based on Richard Warner's work. And they'd given the strong impression that he was supportive of it. He pointed out that in Rafferty's book, Pagan Celtic Ireland 1994, it concluded a small-scale landing of Roman legions may have taken place. One, which if unsuccessful, would not necessarily have been recorded. An attempted military intervention in Ireland is not proven, but such a possibility cannot be completely dismissed. And, in saying that, he's completely right. If there was a small-scale group of
how would
Romans,
we ever know? Yeah.
How would we ever know?
Yes.
We only know that Julius Caesar invaded, in inverted commas, Britain.
Attempted to, yeah.
because he wrote about it, and we happened to have his war diaries still to hand. Mm-hmm. If those war diaries had been lost and Julius Caesar had not become Caesar, they probably would have done. We would know nothing at all about his 54 AD BC.
And that was a very large scale as well, wasn't it? It wasn't a small skirmish force. They're implying here this could have been a small invasion, aren't they? So,
well, you can't, you're coming back to definitions. What you call an invasion? It could be an incursion. There could be a landing of a small scale.
But Caesar was a very famous general with thousands of troops. This could have been an exploratory raid with 200 men or something, couldn't it?
It could be, be a couple of hundred men, and they just go for a look-see. Is it worth invading? It just goes scouting party or whatever. And you can't count that out because there's no evidence anywhere to support or deny that thing. Yes. So it's a possibility.
Yes.
Anyway, Richard Warner, the guy that who gave the Sunday Times the information in the beginning, and who was this professor up in Ulster. He then backlashed and gave an article entitled "A Less Than Edifying Debate." He spotted the way that Professor Rafferty had distanced himself from the conclusions of Warner's book, which says that there had been an invasion, and he felt as a proponent of the invasion theory, he was being accused by Archaeology Ireland of feeding ammunition to the English for use as anti-Irish propaganda. He went on to say that he felt the real reason the artifacts were being kept secret was to prevent the price of the promontory fort being inflated by its archaeological value as the state wished to acquire it. And what was going on all along here, as I said, is there's politics at different levels. You've got national politics because the the government of Ireland were trying to buy the promontory off the owner of the promontory, so that they could do their own archaeological excavations and evaluation of it. And also they wanted to buy the 150 artifacts that the metal detectorists had got. But of course, they didn't want to pay the auction price. So they were threatening to prosecute the metal detectorists and the owner of the site for illegal metal detectoring and stealing archaeological artifacts. And they were using that threat over them to try and lower the price that they were going to pay for the promontory and the artifacts. So there were national politics going on.
When is this again? 1990s?
This
is the 1890s. This is
No. This is recent. So there's politics going on there. There's politics at a higher national level then, with the Irish people thinking, with the Irish archaeological establishment thinking that it was being used as a political
stitch up,
stitch up, and it was just getting out of hand. If you read some of the articles that are going around in the newspaper articles at the time, you've got Irish patriots who have said, "We have never been invaded. You English people can't invade us. No one has invaded us. We've always been our own people." The Romans, we could deal with them quite easily, and we can deal with you guys. We're going to throw you out of the country. So all these arguments were going on in the background, and archaeology was becoming the battleground, for all of this. And the infighting was getting intense, to say the least. It was getting quite exciting. In another article, Warner, who was the guy that started the whole thing with his thing, and Warner had again another political agenda. And we come back to the fact that Ireland and Southern Ireland were divided. He was based up in Ulster, and he got this theory. He'd been tracking all of the Roman finds in Ireland, and he had developed a theory that said, if you look at all these are where this Tumar Tektel guy wandered around, or is reputed to wander around, because he's supposed to be another semi-mythical person. And if you put all that together, I think that he came, he was at one point sort of exiled from Ireland, went across to Scotland, and he's repeatedly come back then armed with people to get his kingdom back. He was a prince. He was kicked out, and he came back when his father died to claim his kingdom, backed up with a whole pile of Scots guys.
Okay.
And Warner's theory was he was backed up by more than by a pack of Picts. He was backed up with a whole pile of Roman legionaries who came there to help him get his kingdom back. And once he was in place, he would then become another one of the acclaimed kings. He was another, which happened.
He was a popular Roman tactic. Yes.
Yeah, it was a standard Roman tactic. Anyway, in another article, in rebuttal to all the accusations that were going on against him, because he was actually the fall guy. And if you look at this again in terms of politics, it was printed in the Sunday Times by a British paper. The Irish guys thought this was propaganda inspired by the British government. Whether it was or not, I don't know. But when you look at it, it looks like the kind of black ops dirty tactics that could be employed.
Right.
And everything was pointed to Warner. All of the vitriol was being dumped on him, and he's putting his hands up. I mean, listen, I just put this forward as a theory. Why are you doing this to me?
Yes.
Anyway, in an article, he clarified what he actually meant by Roman invasion. And okay, here we go. Now, listen to this definition. I'm quoting here verbatim.
Okay.
Roman. It is shorthand for anyone who lived, not necessarily originated within the Roman Empire and was subject to Roman authority. It included Britons, Gauls, Spaniards, and of course, Italians. Germans and Irish were also included, as some were in the empire as mercenaries. Invasion means military intervention on a scale rather larger than a raid. It does not necessarily mean conquest, and it certainly does not imply straight roads and mortared buildings. Well,
could you repeat the last sentence? It does not imply
straight roads.
So straight roads.
Yeah, as in Roman roads and mortared buildings, i.e. stone and building.
So everything's Roman, and whether the stuff's there or not. Okay.
Well, based on his definition, and anytime anytime the Welsh come across to Dublin to watch the rugby match,
we're a Roman invasion.
That's a full-scale invasion,
It's a Roman invasion. Because we're effectively Romans, aren't we, according to that definition?
But that's about the thing of it. Anyone coming for a holiday, that's an invasion. And when you look at it, we Brits, the English and we Brits living today, we invade certain countries in summertime. We go to Spain, Ibiza and places like that.
Depends how you define an invasion, I suppose, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah. But by his definition, that's an invasion because you went over there. It wasn't a full scale invasion. It was a bit more than a raid. Yeah, we drank a lot of ale.
But we didn't actually conquer. Yeah.
And we divulged a lot of females. But, it wasn't a full-scale invasion. So on that basis, he's saying that his Roman invasion covers a wide, if you like, a very wide scenario of events.
Yeah. Thank you for the comments, by the way, the live comments. So we'll get back to some of those. Carry on, Bob. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so the resolution of all of this, it comes on the 14th of October 2016 in the Dublin Herald. There's a report that the Fingal County Council finally acquired the Drummond Fort for €1 million.
Okay.
So they got the fort, and at that point, the artifact, up to that point, the artifacts were being classed as sub judice because the artifacts couldn't be examined by anyone because they were subject to a court case. Now, that comes back to Warner. As I said, you've got to understand the politics again there. He was an academic up in Ulster. He got this theory. He'd heard about the Drummond Roman artifacts. he wanted to examine them and things like that to support his theory. He asked the Dublin authorities, and they said no.
No chance, yeah.
And he took it that they were being obstructive, but they were actually, they hadn't explained to him, I don't think, that they couldn't do it because legally they couldn't do it. So the politics were coming in there at an academic level, you know. So Warner was having this battle with the from the northern Irish academic base with the southern Irish academics, and he couldn't get what he wanted, and the more he couldn't get what he wanted, and that is the result why he went with the information he had to the Sunday Times, and then they then actually produced the article, and the article is a fact when you stand back and look at it. So fake news. It's a classic example of fake news. On the 4th of May 2019, in the Fingal Independent, it said, experts are now digging for secrets of Fingal's mysteriously Roman fort. The article reported on the second year of community excavations around the Martello Tower access tract led by Christine Baker. Now, when I looked into that report, what they were doing there was the county council had bought the fort, and they, as part of it, they were turning it into basically a country park to let access onto it. And in order to let access onto it,
it must be a stunning spot. I mean, it must be amazing.
Well, because of the notoriety that's achieved in the papers, a lot of people were trying to come onto it. And before it was sold to the county council, the owners, as you can imagine, have basically put up better defences and ditches. They put up fences, they put up everything to keep people off it, because they were in negotiation with the council, with the government about selling it, and they didn't want anyone on their land until it actually been bought.
So no archaeology is going on, yeah.
So again, you've got all this politics going on, really. That's politics, basically. Again, they were using their access to the land as a lever in their negotiations. But it was the excavations taken in 2019 were all to do with getting access. And basically, if you look at my cursor, if I can find it, cursor, you can see this dotted line here going up to the Martello Tower. And that's the access onto the promontory. And what they did was, as part of it turning into a country park, they were doing some excavations along this the line of this path here before they let the public onto it. They didn't want the public to destroy anything that was historically important. The track had been put in when the Martello Tower was built. Yep. So they just wanted to investigate that to give it an all clear before they opened it up to the public, because that was going to be the access track onto the promontory. So at that point, nothing more was being learned about the archaeology. In 2011, 2 years later, there was a project called the Late Iron Age and Roman Ireland Project. So Roman featuring quite prominently in it. And that was headed up by Dr. Jacqueline Cahill-Wilson. And the key aims of this, she put together a multidisciplinary team, and the key aims of that were: one, to reassess the nature of Irish interaction with the Roman world, and to consider the impact that such contact may have had on developments at the time, to compare and contrast the nature of Irish interaction with the Roman world with that of communities living elsewhere beyond the Roman frontier. So from the aims of her project, it's quite clear that they were taking the Roman claim seriously, that there had been a Roman presence at this location. So they then started a whole program of research and evaluation. The first point that started off with was the 150 artifacts that were dug up by the metal detectorists in 1998? Yeah, 1996. And they hadn't been seen by anybody because they'd been held by the court. So in 2011, that's the first time these 150 artifacts were actually looked at by any professionals. So the whole Roman fort escapade and claims had all been generated in the complete absence
of any evidence.
of any evidence. And what they found with the 150 artifacts were that they included high status metalwork, ornate jewelry, bronze ornaments, 40 copper ingots, one with Latin lettering on it, indicating a Roman influence, if nothing else, and 18 Roman coins. There's your Roman. So a catalogue was compiled, and the coins were reported, were given to a coin expert, Roger Bland, to look at. The coins dated to Titus 74 to 81 AD, Trajan 98 to 117 AD, and Hadrian 117 to 138 AD. But importantly, no sestertii was found. These were military pay coins. Now, if it was a Roman fort, there should have been hundreds of these littering the fort. If you paid in that, you've gone downtown, you've grabbed one of the local wenches and gone to one of the local ale houses, and you come back late at night. Some of those coins are bound to have been dropped on the way, and yet none of the military coinage were found. So it was concluded at that point that trading activities were the most likely explanation for their presence on the site.
Because they're large denomination coins.
No, they were. The coins were of various denominations. The fact that they were not military pay coins.
Oh, okay, all right.
The Roman military, wherever they were paid in sesterces.
Right. Okay. So they would have gone into circulation, presumably, as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Roman soldiers there, they'd gone into circulation as well, wouldn't they? Presumably.
Yeah, well, they would have gone because they would have paid for their wenches and nails with it. But if there was a Roman fort on this site, you would have found lots of them for certain. Yeah. So in 1996, there was we go back to when all of this started to the fake news reported in the Sunday Times. At that point, there was absolutely zero archaeological, historical, documentary, or any other evidence to even suggest, let alone prove, that the promontory was the site of a Roman fort or a Roman invasion beachhead. Yet the story ran. So all the subsequent archaeological investigations and surveys since 2011, nothing has come up that's shown that there's any Roman evidence at all.
Okay.
So if we go and look at the LiDAR survey, can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. So that's the LiDAR survey they did in 2014.
So for those who are not aware, it's a sort of ground penetrating radar, so you can see any any stuff below the ground, like trenches and walls, maybe.
Yeah, it highlights subtle irregularities in the ground, so that you can see what's basically buried under them. So again, if we come back to my cursor, that's the Martello Tower.
Yes.
You can quite clearly see the track that was built up to it in Napoleon times.
Yes.
And then you've got a series of interesting things up here. There's obviously a division here and down
like
here.
Possible walls or something. Yeah.
Yeah, down here along this coast here, there are what looks to be walls and things like that. But there's nothing that is remotely like
Roman army camp.
fort.
Well,
a Roman army camp would be the typical rectangle with rounded corners,
and the two main
of a size, which could accommodate, a legion, and it's just not there. So what they did then was they split up the area, and these are the areas they're currently working on. Areas 1A and 1D have been done. 1B and 1C are probably done now, but I haven't seen the results. And what they did here was geophys surveys. And if we look at one of them here, you can see, again, we got along here, we got a roadway.
Yeah, the Martello Tower one,
Yeah. But then we've got what is these round circles. These are typical of Iron Age huts.
Are they a bit big, aren't they? Or we zoomed in a bit?
No, they are around there. Iron Age roundhouses were quite big things, you know.
Okay.
So these are typical, you know. Some of them are smaller than others, you know, small ones here, and then you've got this big building here again, but that is by no means anything Roman. You know, you can just tell by the organic nature of it. It's not regimented, it's not squared, it's not anything that the Romans would build.
Lack of corners.
Yeah. So. And then that's it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
Yeah. So
if you come off sharing, hopefully we can have you on screen, Bob.
Yeah, stop sharing. Yeah, okay, I will. I'll stop sharing. Right. You got me?
I have. I got a lot of other things as well, which is a bit weird. I don't know why. Hang on. There we go. Yes, there we go. Yes, all right.
My email telling me I got emails. So yeah, when you look at it, then okay, we go right back to the beginning, and at the end of the day, this is all politics at various levels. It started out with Richard Warner, the professor at Ulster, who wanted to see the Roman artifacts that the metal detectors got. He was told he couldn't see them. I honestly don't think he was told the reason why he couldn't see them, but he was just told flatly, "We're not letting you see them."
Right.
And this happens a lot in the academic world. Believe me, I've got information, you can't see it. It proves X, Y, and Z, but only I can see it. And this happens all the time.
Yes, this pure quest for the truth seems to be a long way away from what the practice is.
And it goes with the prestige of making a big discovery and all the rest of it. If this had been a Roman fort, Richard Warner would have been he would have been the most celebrated archaeologist and historian in Ireland. You know, no doubt about it. He discovered something which hadn't been known before.
But when I trailed this, I mentioned there's a potential of it being some sort of British settlement or fortress there.
Well,
no. Can we get back to that, or?
Yeah, well, the issue on that is that there's nothing in the finds, you know, so there's all this politicking going on, and you know, beneath this event, it's portrayed as something it was in the Sunday Times. But when you start looking at it, this is an Iron Age hill fort, no doubt. You've seen by the surveys, there's nothing more to see. It's an Iron Age hill fort. Okay, you then got to explain the Roman artifacts and some of the high quality gear that was there. And the easiest way to explain that is it's a trading site. Yeah, you saw how close in my initial, if we can go back to that.
You're showing off now, Bob.
No, I probably shouldn't have done that because you can't see it.
We can see it reflected in your glasses, but it's the narrowest point, isn't it?
Okay. Anyway,
don't worry, let's not risk that again. Yeah, Holyhead to Dundee.
If it's a trading site, who's the most likely place it's going to be trading with? It's just 70 miles across the Irish Sea to Wales, and it's more than that. It's not just to Wales; it's to Anglesey, the stronghold of the Druids in Wales.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that that's important. And like you said, the current ferry goes for exactly the same reason Holyhead to Dundee. It does it. It's the shortest distance across that gap of water. Now, in a boat at the time, it wouldn't have taken that long to get there.
Oh no, it's a few hours. Yeah, it's short.
Yeah, and if it's a trading site, again, you know, look back and then history. If there's trading sites put up, who puts them up? Not the natives themselves, right? It's always the incomers. Think Canada. You know, you've got the French fur trappers and people like that. Yeah. They set up trading, trading
Hudson Bay Company, all that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Hudson Bay Company. Yeah, and all of that. But they were set up not by the natives. They're set
Hong
up
Kong,
by
isn't it? Yeah. Hong Kong was set up by the British.
Yeah, you've got something we want. We're going to set up a permanent base here and trade it. Here, have these beads and just give me that pile of gold that you got. You know, it's that kind of trading goes on. One of the things that came up quite dramatically when I started looking at St. Patrick was the trade in slaves. Now we all know that St. Patrick was taken from Wales to Ireland as slaves. But the biggest thing that Ireland had to offer to the Roman Empire was slaves. They didn't have any. They didn't have all the things that Wales had, which is gold, the metals, and all the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at Ireland, and you think, well, what's it got? Yeah, well, it's got lots of green grass and lots of rain. You can get good milk and things like that. And the Romans say, well, we've got plenty of cows, thanks. Have we got anything valuable? Got a bit of gold or anything like that? And they don't have those kind of resources that Wales and other countries have. So in many respects, when it comes back down to a Roman invasion of Ireland, why would they do it? I mean, they had enough trouble hanging on to Scotland, Wales,
well, bits of it anyway, yeah.
and everyone else, who were being uppity and were not accepting their rule. So the natural thing for me to think of is that if you've got a trading base there, it was set up probably by the Welsh. And if the Welsh were there, they were also, even before they got subjugated by the Romans, in inverted commas, they were already trading well before that time with the Romans. So a couple of Roman coins and a couple of Roman bits and pieces. Here, how about this? You haven't seen one of these shiny coins, have you? What will you give me for that?
Right.
And I see that is the reality of what went on. It was a trading base. It wouldn't have been set up by the Irish because that's not the way it happens.
No.
It would have been a couple of Welsh-style boys. We go across in our coracles and we paddled very hard. We got to the other side, and then we could see what we can buy off the locals and do a bit of trading and a bit of bartering, and very soon we'll all be millionaires.
Yeah. Well, I think it's I have a similar argument for Caerleon being on the harbour on the edge of Wales. Same sort of thing. Yes, Caerleon was probably Roman, and it's their trading centre to trade with the surrounding people. And you had to fortify it, same as fortify and protect it, because the Romans won't trade with the Welsh. So
as a trading site, this site makes a lot of sense because you're coming across the water, you've got a nice little promontory to store the goods you're getting off the people. Your boat comes in with a whole pile of trade goods, whatever they be. Well, some of it could be Roman origin, some of it could be Welsh origin, and you've got a place to store it, which is you can defend if necessary. And then you meet there with the locals, you do your trade, and you sell back. You've got nice beaches north and south of the promontory where you can do it, which are well protected. So if any marauders come in boats, you can fight them off. But as a Roman invasion beachhead, it's got fundamental huge problems just on the geography. And this is why I wish I could get back to my original map, because the beaches to the north and south are very small. Agricola in 82 was up in Scotland, and it's recorded by Tacitus, who was his son-in-law, I believe, that he thought he could take Ireland with one legionary and some auxiliaries. Okay, to do that, he would have to bring in quite a big fleet into land. Now, if Richard Warner's theory is that this is where they landed and they went in support of this Irish prince to go and kick the excrement out of the Irish and get his kingdom back. But the reality is there's not enough space to land all those boats on these small beaches. There's enough space to land probably at most 20 boats. Now, about 5 miles probably not even that, about 3 to 4 miles further south, there's a great big, huge long beach, which is about almost a kilometre long. On that beach, you could land, almost 700, 800 ships.
Right.
If you're going to do a Roman invasion,
that's where you go.
That would be a beachhead. You wouldn't come onto this one because as soon as you landed, you can only land 10, 20 boats at most.
You just be outnumbered, yeah.
And you're facing a whole pile of angry Irish guys throwing rocks at you from up on the cliffs. So it's going to be difficult to take. Go 4 or 5 miles down the coast. You've got a kilometre beach. You can land there. You've got a big area to land. So their resources are going to be dispersed because you can land at one end or the other. And if you're going to find a Roman fort, right, when you invade and you go further inland, as Julius Caesar found out to his cost, you don't leave your boats. You've got to leave someone behind to guard the boats. So if you're going to build a fort, even if it's a temporary fort, that's where you build it.
To guard your boats. Good thinking.
You don't go 4 or 5 miles further north, find a nice promontory and build it there because it's secure. Well, leaving your boats to be burned, because once they're burnt, you're gone. You're dead. So when you look at it logically, Warner's series, and I've got a lot of sympathy for Warner, because Warner actually is a guy a bit like Wilson Blackett. He's looking at the old legends and the old, which all of the academics
just trying to tie them in a bit,
and he's trying to tie them up, and he's doing what Wilson Blackett did. It mentions here that there were Roman artifacts. Right? He goes there and looks at it. Hang on a minute, this is tying in. I can put a story together. Yeah. Unfortunately, his theory on this fort doesn't work.
Well, I'm sure he wouldn't. So, I don't know the guy or anything, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if he, like you said, if it's not right, it's not right. Why is he getting attacked so much? What's wrong with putting an idea up, isn't it? This is the
well, and as I said, this is where the politics come into it. He was a bit.
Must be wondering what's happened. Yeah.
He was the patsy in the whole thing. He got frustrated. I don't know how he arrived at the Sunday Times, but all of their article was based on his work. So he was involved and he'd been discussing with them. So I don't know how he arrived over there, but having now arrived on there, they put the story out and twisted it, because he wasn't happy with what they printed either. They twisted it, and then all of a sudden, all the excrement that is tipped over his head, not the Sunday Times.
Wonderful.
And you can see that this is a perfect sort of propaganda exercise.
Yeah. I saw a comment from Andrew Wheeland here earlier was that, so we're almost up to an hour, but just to, it's a good comment. He was saying it does seem the Irish historians generally seem very mute about links with Wales or anything like that, don't they? It doesn't seem to get much mention from that side of the waters.
It doesn't get any mention again, and it's coming back. If you come back to politics, what I noticed in researching this article is that there's a change in politics from the Good Friday Agreement and when Ireland entered the EU. Up to that point, they were a proud independent nation who had never been invaded by anybody. We'd fought and beaten off everybody, and we're going to beat off you Brits for certain, because no one's managed to subjugate us yet. We're the fiercest guys you're ever going to meet. After the Good Friday Agreement, more importantly, after they joined the EU, the whole focus in archaeology and historians in Ireland now is showing how Ireland has always been part of this integrated, bigger Europe.
Really?
We might not have been invaded by Romans. We might not have had a Roman presence here, but we traded with them. We were part of Europe. We have put our arms around you. We love you. You love us. We always have done. And it's a real sort of 180-degree turn from no one's ever invaded us to we're your best friends. You were our best friends. We're your best friends.
The 2,000-year-old European Union.
And it's just politics. And the problem is this highlights that. You can't believe anything you read in the newspaper, even the Sunday Times.
Even the Sunday Times, yeah.
Even the Sunday Times. And if someone has stated something as a fact, this started out as fake news, and it's ended up now as a fact that you cannot question this now. It is a fact. There was.
I see. It's become a fact now, is it? Oh, right, great.
Yeah, no. All you got to do is quick internet.
Yeah, no, I have seen. It's called a Roman fort. Yeah.
Yeah, Roman fort in Ireland, and there's all kinds of theories now. Lost Roman legions wandering around in Ireland. Where did that one come from? And it's all coming back, and they're all using this unsubstantiated fact that there's a Roman fort here as the basis for their fantasy.
Well, one thing just to wrap up a bit, has there been any more work on the artifacts? I mean, can we see them online or something? Is there any access?
I think
Are they on display or?
Yeah, I think they are now on display in Dublin. I mean, there's still ongoing evaluation work, and the project of geophys analysis is still going on. I mean, at some stage, I expect they will do some more excavations there. I mean, they've done the geophys. They've only done probably in total about 10%, 15% of the promontory.
Right.
There's a lot more work for them to do. But the question is, of course, of funding, because a lot of the work is
well,
being
no one's
done
got an incentive, have they? Really, this is the problem at the moment. By the sound of it,
it's being done by community people now, so they get qualified archaeologists who then gets in the locals, and they do a little bit of work every year. They are doing a little bit more work. It's getting recorded. You can see it.
Yeah.
But
the governments have lost interest, like you said. It doesn't suit the agenda now, does it? So the money disappears.
There's nothing to prove now, and at the end of the day, you know, as I said, you look at this. It's clear that there has not been a Roman fort in Wales ever. Zero evidence in 1996. Zero evidence.
So do you mean Ireland or Wales? You said Wales then.
Sorry, in Ireland.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a bold statement.
Well, we'll tackle Wales in another much longer presentation.
Yeah.
I've got my doubts on a lot of the Roman.
Me too. Yeah.
So, and I say the important thing to take away from this is, you know, there isn't a Roman fort and there never was one, which is why I called the presentation "The Roman Fort That Never Was."
Okay.
And
I call it something else. I have to change that.
Don't believe anything. Go and always check the primary sources yourself, because when you do, it's always an eye opener.
Yes, there he was. Thank you very much indeed. And there's a great comment to finish there from Andrew Whelan, which says, like Sutton Hoo being Saxon, fantasy history facts. Yeah, well, funny you should say that, because we've got a whole...
funny you should say that.
Funny you should say that. Got a whole series of... hopefully short. We're going to try and make them short. A whole series of programmes about Sutton Hoo. And if you think this politics was complicated and stinky, wait till you see how that was all sorted out. Because let's just say it wasn't necessarily an evidence-based inquiry with an open approach to where the direction might finally end up.
Evidence was one of the things that was lacking in this.
It wasn't a priority for making conclusions, was it? I'm trying to be more diplomatic when I do these things. Oh, thanks, Bob, for sharing that. It's absolutely wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I only cheered up some people on a Friday evening. So that's wonderful. And we'll get cracking on the Sutton Hoo thing. And so is there anything else you want to add on that?
No, I think, as you know, this has long been one of my things that I want to get off my chest, because I came across it accidentally through Barron's book. And when I researched it, I'm incensed as to what has happened here. Yes.
It's got in reverse text. I don't know why. That says Patrick identified. Available from cameraGlyphics.com, of course. And that's actually Patrick Victor Van Orton. Yeah. He thought he sounded more impressive. Let's not go there.
It incensed me, and I think more people have got to know that it's not a fact. And if you're actually basing anything on this Roman fort in Wales, please think again, because you're on a high
Island. Sorry,
Ireland. I got Wales on the mind.
Yeah, I think never mind. I'll tell my story one of these days. How Guinness is actually Welsh.
Now that's fighting talk.
I thought there's a problem. I'll just slip that in there sometime. Yeah, it's a mispronunciation of Gwynedd. Anyway, we'll do it another time. I think we've upset the Irish enough already. We do love you, really. It's just a historical thing. Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you very much indeed. Before we dig ourselves a deeper hole, and we'll be back. Hopefully, they'll start running on Monday. The stories about Sutton Hoo with Bob's amazing findings on that. So thank you very much, Bob. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Until the next time, I don't know how to turn any of this off now. So people just want to log out or something.
I'm just going to leave quietly.
You just sort of stop talking. I'll stop talking. I'll try and work out to stop everything. So Heather.
All right. Cheerio, guys.
Cheerio. I think I'll stop the streaming. I think.